this video, I'm going to discuss how to use keyframes in the Openshot video editor to zoom in and to pan within a video clip. First, I'm assuming you have some basic understanding of the Openshot video editing software and want to master some additional features. With this in mind, let's start by defining keyframes and explaining how to access them. Keyframes are points within a video clip that you select where you are going to change any of the video clip properties listed in the Properties menu. For our purposes here, we'll focus on these four properties: location X and Y, and scale X and Y. Using these four properties, we can change the scale of the video, zooming in or out, and we can determine which section of the video clip to use in our finished video clip. Scale X determines the width of the video clip, and scale Y determines the height of the video clip. If you want to keep the original video ratio, then the X and Y scales should be equal. Location X and location Y determine the vertical and horizontal coordinates of the video's focal point. Changing these coordinates allows you to determine which section of the video clip will be shown and which sections will be left out. Key points are inserted by first making sure that the video clip you want to work on is selected. When you click on the clip, it will be highlighted. Then you move the cursor to the point at which you want to insert the keyframe. Then you select the properties that you want to keyframe and adjust the values as you desire. Let's start with an example. To start our project, we need to start with a video clip up here in the project files. I already have one loaded. That's a picture or clip from Disney World. The plus sign, you click on that, and you can find clips that are loaded on your device. We're moving the clip down into the timeline. I'm going to actually move 3 of these clips, the same clip, so that you can see the difference between what was done before and what's after. Now I'm just sliding this so that I can get a wider view. I mean, it was too zoomed in, and I really want to be able to work on the whole project at once, so I had to zoom out a little bit for that. Now I'm going to click on, you see when I clicked on that center clip, it lighted up or highlighted in red. That means that's the clip that's being used at the time, or that we're working on at the time, I should say. It's important that you make sure that you have the right clip highlighted, because every time you change the properties, those properties are going to change on the clip that's highlighted and not the other clips. And sometimes if you highlight the wrong clip and you start changing properties, you of course are going to mess up your project that way. Now that we got the viewer cursor over our video clip that we're going to be working over, we can see what we're doing. And that's important too, because the clip, the cursor needs to be over the portion on the timeline that you're viewing. So we have our cursor in the beginning, and that's important too, because that means that the properties that we're going to add now are going to apply throughout from that point, from where that cursor is forward. Now, to bring up the properties, you click on, you right click on the video clip and you press down on properties, and it shows up here on the side as the different properties. Now, remember we said we're going to use location X, location Y, and a scale X and scale Y. These are the current values. We're going to change some of them. The reason we're going to change them in the beginning is because this was taken on an iPhone, and we want to get rid of those black areas on either side of the video. So we're going to expand it, and we're going to bump up the scale to about 2.2 is good. 2.2 will get rid of those black areas on either side for us. And the video has enough quality so it doesn't get too fuzzy when we do that. Then we're going to have to move also our location Y, because the location Y, it's focused too low now. We want to bring it up a little bit so that we see people's faces and the portion of the video that we really want. And so we're going to go and we going to establish locations for the Y. I don't think we have to move the X right away, but we're going to change the Y location, and we're going to put in the Y location a 0.05. And that should be good enough, and that brings it up. And see, we have a different view now that we did that. And so now we have established a new keyframe there in the beginning, and we want it to stay. We want it to stay, focused at this height, at this scale, and we don't want it to change. So we're going to put another keyframe as just to place a placeholder. We're going to move it up to, say, around 24. And when I say 24, I'm talking about the number on the position of the cursor there. So we're going to move the cursor up to around 24, just about here, a little bit more, and we're going to set this as another keyframe. And what that will do is will cause the video to stay in the same with the same values as what we started with, and won't change. If we didn't put a keyframe here, then between the beginning point and this point, the video would change values from the beginning point to whatever new values we put here. But for that portion of the clip, we don't want the change. We don't want the values to change. And so what we're going to do is we're going to put a holding place here with another keyframe. And to do that, we just go over to the properties again, and we right click on the properties. I'm sorry, we click on the properties, and I'm going to click on all the properties that we're going to be using. That's the scale X, scale Y, and location X and location Y. Once we do that, now we're going to go back, and we're not changing the values here. We're going to leave them the same. Like I said, it's a placeholder because we don't want any changes in this section here. We want it to stay the same. And then when we move the cursor up a little bit, we're going to put another keyframe. In that keyframe, we're actually going to change the values, and we're going to zoom in a little bit on our video. So we put this holding place here to stabilize the video from the starting point to this point here, and then we're going to move it, and we'll move it not too far, but we'll move it up a little bit, and then we'll make some changes. So we'll move it up to this is good here. That's too much. Let's go back a little bit. Maybe right about here. Yeah, that's good. Now, when we get here, we're going to go over again, and we're going to click on these things. And make right click when we want to. Bring up the key points. And we now once we have that, then what we want to do is we want to change the values. We want to change the scale. We're going to go up to 5, and then we'll change the location Y and X so that the video's in a place where we want it to be. And then from the last key point, the keyframe, it's going to move from where it was to this new set of values. So we got 5 for the scale, and then we go up to the Y location, and we're going to change the Y location to 1.7. That should move it up far enough, and then we'll change the X location as well to about 0.6, and that will move our video all together in a different place, because right now you see we're looking at seats. We don't want that. So as we move the Y to the 1.7, watch what happens to the video. It moves up where we want it. And then we go to the location X, and we're going to move it a little bit to focus on a particular character here. So we'll do a 0.6 on this one, and watch what happens to the video when we do that. You see how it moves right squared on his face, or centered on his face. And so now we have that new key point. Now we want this to stay the same also for a period of time. So we're going to move our cursor up, and then we're going to put another holding place, another key frame for a holding place. And we're going to have the exact same figures as we had in this keyframe that we just made. And the reason is because we don't want the video to change in this space. Now, once we get to here, this point in the video, that's probably where we're going to make the change. So we're going to put the holding place right there. And that's at about 0.26.7. And so that space between that first cursor point, the first keyframe and our cursor is going to remain the same. So we're just leaving those values the same. And now we want to quickly zoom, so we're going to move up a little bit. And we're just, again, we have to make sure that we do all the keyframes, the keyframe for location X, location Y, and the scale, so that everything stays the same in that area. And we're going to have some stability with the video by doing that. Then we're going to move our cursor, and we'll move our cursor to a position, I don't know, a little further up. It will be basically the same 20, I don't know. We're going to move our position up so that we can make a change now. We're going to make a change, and we're going to pull back from this zoom so that we're going to go back to maybe a 2.3 in terms of scale. So we move this up to, this is a good point. This is a good point right here, because we're going to make it a quick zoom back out. And then we put our keyframes in here. And scale X, and then we're also going to do scale Y, and we have to make sure that we first put the keyframe there, and then what we're going to do is we're going to change those values. We're going to change the X and Y value to 2.3. Y value also at 2.3. But you notice what happened to our video. It's moving around now because we're changing those values. This obviously is not what we want to see up here. So we're going to have to change our location values as well. And we're going to put, for the Y value, we're going to change it to a 0.7, see what happens there. Hopefully that will be the right figure. But even if it's not, you know what? You can play around with it and get it right. So that 7 is good. And we put 0 for the location X. And we have a pretty good shot right there. That's a good place to be. So we're going to leave that there. Now, again, we need a placeholder to leave the video exactly where it is so it doesn't move, scale as it moves to the next key point. So we move that cursor up for a while to just make sure. We'll go up to 30, 31, somewhere in that neighborhood, and we'll put another keyframe. Okay, we're going to put another keyframe there. And remember, again, we need to put keyframes on all those 4 locations that we're changing, 4 properties that we're changing, so that that area stays stable and it doesn't change. So we're leaving the values the same, 2.3 on the scale, 0.7 for the Y location, and 0 for the X location. That will hold the video steady. And then now we can take a new position. When we want to take a new position and zoom in on something, we move our cursor up to a point where we want to make that zoom. So it's going to go from the previous keyframe up to this new position, and this new position here at 32. Yeah, okay. And by 32, we're going to move, put another keyframe, and we're going to zoom in. This time we're going to zoom in big. We're going to zoom in, we'll do a zoom in of 5. So that'll be a good zoom. I guess not so big. We did that before, but we're going to do it again. X scale, we're going to put 5, and the Y scale also 5, so we have the same ratio. And watch what happens to the video when we put those numbers in. Actually, that's a mistake. I didn't mean to put it in the location, but we'll fix that later. I actually meant to make the scale 5, not the Y location 5. So we'll put the X scale at 5, the Y scale at 5, and then we'll change that Y. We'll get a value that works for us there in the Y. We'll use a 1. See if that gets us where we want to be. Just want to make sure that we have a keyframe there, which we do. And now, for the location Y, we put 1 in there. Yeah, it's a little better, 1. And then we're going to change our X to a negative figure, negative 0.95, and see what we get there. Yeah, that's good. Now we have a little black area on our video, which means that we went a little bit too far in the one direction. The X direction here. So you see that black area here? We don't want that, so we want to move it back over to the right a little bit to cover that. So we're going to make that less than, I should say more than negative 95. So we'll make it negative 90 maybe. Let's see what we get with that. That's good. Now we got it. Great. That's what we're going to do. And now we have, I think, a good zoom. Okay. Yeah, good. All right, there we go. And then what you can see is this is the original video again. This is the original video, and then we have our new our new video. So you can see what we were able to do by manipulating those properties, as if it almost looks like as if we we're doing that with the camera, but we were able to do that in editing since the camera didn't do it originally. And so that's basically all you need to know about being able to zoom in and zoom out with respect to the editing using these 4 properties: location X, location Y, and the scale X and scale Y, to change the size of the video, the focus of where you're at with the video. And that's about it. These key points or keyframes can be used for other changes as well, as far as the volume, all the other properties, or you can do the same thing with those. And we'll talk about that perhaps in another video. Thank you for listening.